Good?
Almost. Go ahead and click on using
Once
the
upon
most.
a guy, there was a time there was a security guy. I can tell stories all that, man. Cool. You good?
Yep.
All right. So, welcome everyone this afternoon. My name is Roland Cloutier. I work for a company called ADP. That is not the security company. Hopefully we pay about 1 in 4 people on your street every week. I'm the Chief Security Officer for what we call our global security organization. It's about 300 security risk and privacy practitioners that help protect our business internally. I hope you're not here to see a technical talk, because this isn't about technology. This is about developing our practitionership. This is about the future of how we will protect businesses. This is about the future of how we think about what security risk and privacy programs will be in the next 5, 10 years, and how we as people that need to go drive this can really enable an era of protection that we haven't had before by simply rethinking and retooling how we look at security. So that's what the talk's about. If you thought I was going to be doing something about programming, like the thing says, I'm not. Matter of fact, they don't even let me touch firewalls anymore, so it's probably a good thing. We're going to talk a lot today about business operations protection, but before we get there, I want to take a step back. And a few years ago, when I started looking at how to develop a next generation security program, I asked a few questions of myself, and now I ask this of my practitioners all the time. One of them is, what am I protecting? Right? And we'll take a deep dive into that. How does a company or agency or whatever I work for today, how does it make money? Like literally, is it, how do we think about margins? How do we think about revenue? Do they make money on a widget or services? Is it just the intellectual property? Literally, how do they make money? And what are those biggest assets? Because as technologists, as defenders, we're always thinking about the infrastructure, we're always thinking about the IP, we're always thinking about some of the data components. But what does the business think their biggest assets are? And how do we align our programs to ensure defensive operations align to that? And then the next question is always, where are they at? Now we know that the CMDB that IT keeps is always perfect, pristine, right? All like 12 of them from every different business unit and organization. And we're always going to find all the information. But the truth is, we don't necessarily know. It's such a virtual world. Things get stood up so quickly. Businesses expand, contract. They use external entities. We have third parties. We have supply chain. We have all this stuff. And it's all over the place. So how do we really know where it's at? And do we ask ourselves about the downstream residual implications of us not being able to do our jobs? And whether we suck at it, we do something stupid, or we're just overcome by a new adversary, or if we miss something. What is it? So I'll tell you how I think about it, how I get up every morning. If I do not do my job, a couple of things happen. One, literally 1 in 4 people on your street, or 1 in 5 people on your street don't get a paycheck on Thursday night. Right? Mom and dad goes to Walmart or to the grocery store to get school supplies or food, and they think they get an ACH transaction, and that didn't happen, right? So now they'll probably get money within a couple of days, hopefully, if something bad will truly happen. But think about the downstream economic effect that has on a country or a region, right? Okay, 1 in 3 Canadians, 1 in 5-ish, 4-ish Americans, 1 in 10 payslips around the globe. The downstream residual impact of what I do has a very bad day for the world. What's it mean for your business, right? Maybe you work for a hospital, maybe you work for a rail carrier, maybe you work for, a bank. What does it mean for your business? Can you ask yourself this question? And I do this all the time. We're not the biggest company in the world, that's for sure. And I sit back and I say, what's my next 3 products that my company's taking to market? And how do I know? We have 13 business units or divisions. How do I know what the top 3 things that's most important to the business? And how am I developing my security program to ensure that I'm ready to accept that new product as it goes to market? And that I'm able to defend it for it and for the consumers and customers behind it. On and on. Where are those going to be? What countries do I have to operate on? And so on and so forth. So this whole discussion about what is the business operation protection really comes down to these two things. The first is this end-to-end protection of operations. What does that mean? Yeah, we care about confidentiality, integrity, availability. I've been saying it so long, I almost trip on it. But if we're only looking at security information or basic IT information, we're only getting a part of that picture, right? We're seeing, whether it's IDS, IPS, firewalls, DPI, EIEIO, whatever technology we've deployed, and that's coming into the security intelligence data warehouse, or it's coming into an analytical platform, or it's coming into a correlation, whatever it may be, and that's all we're looking at, we're not doing the job. Even if we just basically take basic IT information, we're probably not seeing the whole picture. Because what's a business? A business is a multiple set of processes across a business ecosystem that includes multiple sub-businesses underneath it. Those are transactions, those are business processes, those are technologies, it's the whole end-to-end. So let's take, payroll's a bad example, kind of easy. So let me take manufacturing, right? So manufacturing has R&D. The R&D sends it over to engineering. Then engineering sends it over to manufacturing. Manufacturing, as they're making it, you have now marketing, sales, right? And they have their infrastructure and operations as well. They sell something. It goes to product delivery or QA, and then it gets shipped. And that goes to implementation and consult or services. And then maybe you have a consumer services or a customer services group that deals with the customer after you get it. They have CRM systems, they have all their own information. Or to service that customer, you're talking about like 10 different business processes with multiple subsystems underneath it, and that's what your business process looks like. The future of our ability to protect the business is to truly understand what a good business process looks like in each one of those areas, be able to identify what's not good. So that when we talk about business operations protection, that is what we mean when we talk about end-to-end protection operations. The next thing is resource leverage and protection expansion through convergence. We hear about convergence every now and then, and people say, well, that's really at a different level, but convergence of operations across multiple programs, such as cybersecurity, information security, privacy, operational risk management, physical security, criminal and civil investigations, fraud defense, depending what type of organization you're in. The totality of the information that's created from all of those organizations, the instantiation of a platform that allows you to use all of that information as intelligence, and then the co-joining of operational platforms together is actually a pretty interesting concept because it gives you a leverageability of resources that we've never had before. So we'll talk about convergence in a little bit and why that plays a big role. So, big question, how does your business deliver its business today? And when we start to ask ourselves that, one of the first things we have to say is, what's our field of vision, right? What's our field of operation? What's the playing field? If our security program is based off the box that we live in, the buildings that we're in, or our retail operations, or wherever we're at, we're not seeing everything, right? If we're selling things into different markets, maybe you're a US-based company and you're selling into Asia-Pac via e-commerce, or maybe you're doing supply chain management, you're pushing the goods you're making to Latin America. That really is your field of operation. So how do you think about your security program and how you develop it? It has to be based off your AO, or your area of operation. And then that field of vision, how far down you see is important. How much information you get, that intelligence that you bring in, the things you're asking other people in your market, the things you're asking other people in your industry, and the information you're sharing along the way. We're going to get into this thought of over horizon view, but it's really based on how you know what's coming your way. In order for you to instantiate this business operations protection, you got to be able to move the cheese, right? You got to put your resources where you need them at that time. In order to get at that information, you have to know what's coming your way. So you can understand the threats that are impacting, the company that you're competing with, the threats that's hitting the retail bank down the street or other industries, and be able to look back inside of your environment to be able to say, do I have that problem? Could I have that problem? And is it defendable? And where do I put my resources in order to prevent against it? So this over-the-horizon threat preparation starts with the collection of information and the use of sharing of intelligence. It's also the discussion with your business on what their futures are, where they intend on taking their products to market, and understanding the implications of legal jurisdictional issues that you have on defending those environments, and setting up a program that's based in part on ensuring that you're prepping your practitioners and you're prepping the technology implementations for those deployments in different areas. Another discussion is, how do we think about reverse threat discovery? Most CERTs or SOCs, analysts, they do a pretty good job at saying, hey, we had this issue, let's go run it and see if we've had it before. How do we think about doing reverse threat discovery for our business operations protection, so that end-to-end protection of our entire go-to-market? You know, when we instantiate new technologies around security intelligence, data warehousing, and analytics, part of that has to be, in part, has to be about ensuring that the whole business is protected, because we discover these new threats, we discover these new problems, these new vulnerabilities, these new capabilities. And if we just go and say, hey, we're going to block our edges, we're going to do this, and patch, it doesn't mean that we haven't been impacted before by it. And potentially we leave a gaping vulnerability or gaping liability on our platforms. So reverse threat discovery as a part of a service that you're delivering to your company is important. So now we get into this discussion about, well, if we don't do end-to-end business process protection yet, and we're going to get there, how do we know our business is secure? Or better yet, how do we ensure that in the future we can guarantee that our businesses are secure? And that's really done with this simple concept of creating a holistic vision. And there's really two points to creating this holistic vision. But I'll start with this educational concept. And it's really, this is for practitioners. Internal business education. You know, we can say day in and day out, oh, that team doesn't need to know that, they just need to understand the technology they're managing. But if we don't educate our practitioners on what they're defending and why, what the implications are, who the potential threat actors could be, and I'm not just talking about, you know, Eastern Europeans or, you know, PRC or whoever. I'm talking about really how people make money off of hurting our business or our clients, right? And by the way, this is how your business works, folks, end to end. How do we educate security practitioners to become business people? And I'm not saying they have to walk around with, you know, pocket protectors and go sell stuff. I'm saying they have to understand what they're defending. And they have to understand it in the broad context. That takes resources, that takes planning, that takes educational programming, but it's a concept that has to happen fairly quickly. The second is this concept of bidirectional information transparency. We typically go to the business when they have risk, or we typically go to the business when they have to pay for something. You know, I've been doing this 25 years, and we talked about all of the updates that we give back and forth, but at the end of the day, security risk and privacy organizations normally integrate with the business when something's going wrong or has gone wrong or could go wrong. But there has to be more than that. There has to be a discussion with the business about their future plans, the implications, show them downstream residual impacts to their decisions, let them be involved in the discussion about how to remediate. Now, that's a two-way street, right? Because a lot of people, they don't care. And so you have to make it how they care. How is it part of their MDOs? Progressive discipline with the organization, all those things that go along with it. It has to be a two-way street. The second thing that you have, or the last thing you have to deliver here is this serviceability. So how do we give services back to the business? How do they look at it as, you know, deriving value, right? You want the business to be able to come to you and say, hey, I want to be able to do business there. How can I make sure I do it securely? And creating centralized security services. Now, I will say that many mature organizations have already done this. They followed either an ISO standard or they've gone through service catalog. Why is that important besides engagement with the business? Cost, right? What does my cert cost me? What does an incident cost me? I don't know how many people here can say a normal malware incident in your environment costs what? Anybody? Does anybody know an actual dollar? Just curious. I don't know, I'm going to share mine, so I'm just asking. about $225,000 per malwareance, roughly. That's FTE costs, that's an investigation cost, that's follow-up costs, and that's IT costs, so inclusive TCO specifically for that service I deliver around malware, right? That's raw normal cost. And I'm not talking about just cleaning up a machine that's typically a malware that wasn't prevented, that needs to be cleaned up or responded, right? But that's, that is what it costs in our environment. So every time we talk about if we have to continue to do this and we don't invest in X, we can give them that cost. So serviceability or service catalog capabilities for your organization are important because it allows you to start focusing things around dollar cost of business actions that's actually costing against the P&L. In order to get to this area of business operations protection, there's some basic elements you have to follow. Take you through just a few of them today. We talked about business transparency, but really, how do you get there? What is business transparency? I don't think that's coming out too well. How do you get there first? Well, the first is this concept of business process documentation. Have you ever gone through business and asked them, can you show me how your business works? Show me your value chain, like Mike Porter's value chain. Can you show it to me? You get that deer in the headlight look, right? The sad thing is you'll probably have to create it, or you'll have to go to audit to pull it, or you'll have to go to someone that might have already done it, because they probably didn't do it. Think about that. The people you're protecting that run a business, and you ask them about how their business operates, a simple flow chart in their business. 8 out of 10 times, they probably don't have it, right? So if they don't know how their business works, and they expect you to protect it, how can you protect it? So this is like the most fundamental thing that you have to do as a practitioner is get the business to be involved and work with you on creating that documentation. I did this once, I'll just say for a company, it was before we started getting into data flow, and we wanted to know physically where devices were based on legal jurisdictions of how we were going to deploy some technologies and do some testing. And we're like, well, that's our European division, so it's all going to be in there. This stuff came back here. Right? And no one knew that the processes all came back through the US and then back out again. And that was problematic. But getting that basic, how does my business work? How do I make a widget? Right? Where does it go? The things you will find out, the partners that are involved. I find this out every week. We have a fairly mature process, and I still shake my head and say, it goes where? Where's that? Who reviewed that part? That's not my third party, vendor assurance book. So remember, that's your first line of defense. Second is business data flow diagram. Our business is all about data, right? At the end of the day, it's what the bad guys want, even if it's money, even if whatever it is, if they're going to shut off the platform, the future's in data, right? How do we protect data? We can get this concept of we're going to encrypt, what are we going to do, how's it going to get to the end user, how are we going to tag it, what's metadata going to do, metadata protection infrastructure is going to be in the future. This is not a technical discussion. But the question is, where does the data go for your business? Physically, logically, how does it flow? Where does it go? What are the control elements based on it, right? We do it today for fraud. Anybody here work in fraud programs out of curiosity? No one? So if you're in fraud, you basically take a business process, you look at where the information is, and you look at all your control sets, and then you say, you create iOS or indicators of fraud. It basically says, if I were to steal money, I would probably do this, and then I would do this. So you have the business tell you have the business tell you how they steal money. And you look at the controls around it. We're basically doing the same thing for every part of your business process. Is look broadly, and then have a discussion on the controls. But document where the data goes if you think you're ever going to be able to protect it. This next area we talked about, I'm not going to harp on it, what are the business roadmaps? What are the next things that they're planning? I had a great discussion that's actually scared the crap out of me last year with my business when we were having our yearly review, and the tech guys the developers got all excited, and they came in the room and they said, so here's what we're doing. We're doing wearables, where we're going to be able to track people in their business and be able to report, like, when they go to the bathroom and stuff. I said, what? They didn't say bathroom, but the point was, customers had come to them and they wanted to learn proactive human capital working management in the workplace stuff. And they wanted to be able to create an application that did something around tracking where they moved in the building. And it was like, time out guys, you know, there's like 50,000 logs we have to deal with, there's like really sensitive data on the people part of this, there are devices that you want to load software, I mean, it's some crazy noise, right? Now, the concept was based off a market requirement, and we didn't tell them to stop, but what we said is, here are the things you have to consider, right? And got involved in that process, and got ahead of it. But we look at those every single year of where the business is going. Now, we did talk about converged security programs. Boy, that didn't run very well. This concept of leveraging information and leveraging assets. So, first of all, a lot of us get into, especially when you get into senior management, you know, there's so many topics about security today. The board wants to hear it, the audit committee wants to hear it, the executive committee wants to hear it, you know, and when you have two different security organizations presenting different views about different topics, and at the end of the day, it's still all about business operations protection. It doesn't matter if it's people, or technology, or infrastructure, or continuity of operations, or any of that. It's all protecting the business. And when you have this bifurcated approach to it, you end up wasting the time and not gaining the focus and presence of the people that need to have the attention that you would have. You're essentially splitting it in half. So how do you have that shared vision and shared mission that you want to drive into the business? The shared intel piece is huge too. Probably not so much in smaller organizations, but in critical infrastructure, in large multinationals, you know, you typically have large intel programs that are being built up in very separate shops. That information is great to use. If I'm doing fraud defense, or if I'm doing, threat discovery management, and having a co-joined information about people, about businesses, about threat actors, about IT addresses, about all the possible information I can have, makes my analytics better, and it makes us better at doing our jobs on both sides of the house. So shared intel is very important. Shared operating platform. We went through this about 3 or 4 years ago. We have one architects group for all of our security programs, for all 6 service delivery organizations, criminal and civil investigation, public safety, cyber, privacy, everybody, one architects group. And we said we're going to be on a common platform of operations. Lower total cost of ownership, we can reinvest the money instead of infrastructure. We were able to reinvest that in headcount. We were able to reinvest that in new technology. And everybody operates on an integrated workflow. So if a problem comes in, it's a security thing, goes over to the critical incident response center. If it's a physical security thing, it goes over to them. All off one transparent infrastructure. Our GRC platform has a set of dashboards that allows us to see the entire world, and each part of our operations rolled up under a single threat picture from all sides of the house. Very important to have this shared capability. And of course, shared leadership. We have 10 different executives that sit at the same table every single week and talk about the same problem. It's never, that's networking problem, or that's the technology security guys' problems, or that's the, the geeks with guns. It's our problem. It's our problem to solve for the company. And so convergence plays a big role in the future of how we bring our program as protection specialists to our business. The next area is intelligence-led security. Most people are doing this now. Most people have some sort of integrated data collection capability, and we know that correlation is dead, right? At some level, correlation type primary applications are not going to be within our environment. It's too much data. I mean, think about it. Just do cyber threat analysis. You need DNS, DHCP, IT logs, authentication, AAA logs. You need your firewall logs. You need all of that stuff, and that's on the known. But how about the unknown? How about well, that shouldn't be happening. That's a bad business process. That's a bad operation. That's a unusual, that's a away from the norm type of approach. The only way we're going to get at those needle in the haystacks is to be able to aggregate all that information. In our shop, we take about 10 billion events a day into our big data platform. Call it whatever you want, security intelligence, this and that. It's big data with massive amount of analytics. Now, we take that on a pivotal instance, and we break it out into separate instances, and like we do for reporting, and then we do some other interesting stuff like fraud analytics, and move shards back and forth where we need it. But we bring it all to one location and let each security discipline work off from that infrastructure, right? It's intelligence-led security. We don't spend a lot of time on just regular alerts. We look for what's odd in our environment or should not be there, and we do that across all of our programs and use that shared information concept. Get back to that over-the-horizon planning. We spend a lot of time in over-the-horizon planning from an intelligence-led security by looking at, hey, what's the threat that hasn't been, so we've got POC code that hasn't been developed, it's a potential issue. If it were developed, where would it matter in our environment? That's the speed as practitioners we have to work at today. We have to anticipate, not get the alert that something was released and we have to go fix it, and do we have to go check all of our external edges to make sure? No. When it could be a possibility, how will it affect us in a month or 2 months? That's where security programs need to go, and that's this over-the-horizon planning and thinking. Our business is going to market with X, in 18 months. Do we have the defensive capability to protect that type of code, right? How are we thinking about the future, literally a year out, and our ability to protect it? That's the real over-the-horizon planning that we have to do. Automation is key. Automation is everything. From the way that we collect information, if it takes an analyst 4 hours to collect the who is, DNS, historical DHCP lookups, to go out and do background information on the targets, if it takes them all that time to do that, then we're doing something wrong, right? Runbooks should be automated. Our program should be automated. Basic things like adding prevention capabilities within certain technologies, that should all be automated at this point. The good news is that there's companies coming out with this capability every day. There's an average of I think the average I heard was $25 million per startup in this space. Money's being poured into it left and right, so we're going to have a lot of options as practitioners. But you should be focusing on automation for resource leverage, and to be able to allow your people to really think about their job as analytical people to understand and relate to the business at hand, right? And let the automation do the digging for you. We talked about analytics. The future of the security area is all about analytics, mathematical integration, algorithms specific to our business, concepts that will be built by other people that will work across all of our environments for new IOCs, for new threats, immediately coming online in our analytical platforms. We have to prep ourselves now. So if you're doing basic Splunk stuff or Greenplum stuff or whatever you're using, how do you think about having a service operation capability for adding in analytics for each one of your different type of services that you deliver? Business process assurance, really the last component here. How do we think about business process assurance? So we talked about documenting the end-to-end. We talked about this process of looking at all the controls. So where have you gone and said, in my business process, we know that this is bad and this is good, and we're monitoring for that in the business. We probably don't, because it's a very hard thing to do today. But next generation security programs should have that in place and have that as a service capability. Last area I want to really touch on when it comes to the development of net new services is the concept of critical asset protection. We always hear, what's the crown jewels, right? You gotta go protect the crown jewels. You can't protect everything. Assume you're being hacked. Assume someone's in your environment. You can do a lot of assumptions, but at the end of the day, you still have to know what your critical assets are. And you have to put a very specialized protection program in play. So the first thing is know what and where they are. How do we define critical assets? Because we said they are. But if we go to the business and ask them, said, what would you really be screwed if this got turned off or went away? How do you think about critical assets? What is the program by which you measure your critical assets and say, they have this much impact to revenue, this much impact to brand, whatever your risk program is? Figure it out, get the business to agree, and go document it across your business. And make sure you know where they actually sit, and that includes under the guy's desk on the second floor. Know the end-to-end gaps and make it transparent. So have your red teams whack them. Have your global vulnerability assurance technology go scan them. Have people actually walk up and see if they can get on it, whatever it is. Can I turn it off? Can I turn it on? Right? Can I insert something? What can we do? And put it back on the business, right? You're saying this is your critical asset, and this is what we can do, right? Make it well known. A lot of people have a hesitation to go into the business and doing it because it makes us look like ogreish, and the security's coming in and telling us it's bad. But on critical assets, we've got to be upfront with the reality around what they're playing with, and when they're not being responsible. Create purpose-built protection and monitoring. So when we say critical assets, that means we have more focus, more capabilities, and we put more money into them at the end of the day, right? It's going to cost more to protect them. So what are those tools we can pull from our toolbox? If critical asset equals this, these are the things that I can do with it real quickly. And from a monitoring perspective, if an alarm goes off, so to speak, does it just go into the stack like everything else? Or is it specific priority? Does it have certain elevations? If Jimmy doesn't answer it, does it go to Sally on a page or group distribution? How do we think about critical asset protection, monitoring in different as well? And then, of course, resource prioritization of resource efforts in general. Controls assurance is a new concept. In next generation security programs, this is for two reasons. Make sure your CSO doesn't go to jail, and I appreciate that. And it's to make sure or potentially look at opportunities for resource leveraging or recouping dollars in your program. So what do I mean by that? Controls assurance is simply this. What are the controls I'm committed to as a company? Right? What did we say we do from a security risk or privacy point of view? Is it there? Is it even turned on? Right? We've been there. Like, we expect it to be there. We go there. It's not turned on. No one's monitoring it. It's not used. Right? Why did we do it in the first place? And is that threat or technology or risk gone? Do we even need it? Can I turn it off, recoup the dollars on headcount, recoup the dollars on depreciation, and go put it in a new technology I need to use? Or is it working? And it's pretty damn good. Maybe we should think about using it in these other 14 areas in leveraging. Or cranking it up a little bit. We bought it for 20% of what it can do. We pay an enterprise license for that. It's got these other functionalities. Where else do we need that, right? Controls assurance is really knowing and documenting that controlled environment and making sure that you have the capability to reuse, repurpose, and manage your resources. So it's that validation across the board and adjust those investments when needed. Do it well, and you're automatically migrating to a CSF type model that doesn't just look at your policies, but looks at your capabilities and the true level of protection that you provide to your business. So, kind of tying this off, we talked about new programs, new services, how we have to think about business process as what we're protecting in the future, some of the technologies we should be thinking about migrating to. And the last is, what does this do to the security field? There's going to be a few things it does. Are we always going to manage firewalls? Probably not. That'll probably be some automated thing within the network stack. There'll be an end-to-end IT will manage. But what are real key things that we have to think about for the people that you and I need to go find to bring onto our teams and train them up to be part of this next generation of security defenders? First is they have to be analytically skilled. They have to understand the concept of the information and technology that they're responsible for and how that applies to the business, how that applies to the business process, how that applies to the totality of the threat, how to create analytical concepts, multi-point considerations for defensive operations rather than just put a rule and it'll stop it, right? How do I think analytically? And that's a different skill set. It truly is. It can be learned. You can send people back to school, but if you're flipping controls over in 3 years, you think you're going to do a program wrap up in a couple of years and deploy a new BI technology, but your people better be ready for it. Or they may not be in your team in 3 years because you only get 4 headcount or 10 headcount or whatever it is, and the people, you need people to manage that. So train them up now. Start thinking about what you need in the next few years. Converge, we talked a lot about that. You'll be hearing a lot more about this in the next couple of years. We're seeing a lot of major multinational organizations organizations go into this converged program at the bequest of the board. The National Association of Corporate Directors, those are your board of directors, people that they kind of coalesce as organization, has suggested it as well. And it's an important point because it's a different way of thinking about our business of security operations. And worst topic in the world, I can't even help my 8th grader on math, but mathematics matter. I know it's not rendering well, it looks crap down here, but mathematics matter. I mean, the future of, it's always mattered around the basics of our environment and understanding technology in general. Encryption's playing a big change, because you haven't seen some of the new technology coming out with regards to object-based encryption capabilities. You know, that's only going to grow in our environment. Analytics, with mathematical calculations for specific good and bad processes, that's going to be a huge part of what we do. Math is going to be big. The STEM programs that you guys go into your communities and help support, or that you tell people you have to have certain STEM in order to come into our curriculum, that is going to be super important over the next few years. Last but not least, I say be a leader. It's going to take us in this room, think of all the bad people in the world, think about all the things that you have to protect against every single day. We're nascency in our career field. If you think about it, late 80s, early 90s, we really became a profession. It's only 2015, right? I have 48 openings today, and that revolves between 20 and 48 openings at any given time. There's 2,500 CISO jobs open in the United States, domestic United States alone right now. I mean, we need leaders. We need people that are going to change the way that we protect businesses, and businesses are demanding it. So I ask you to go out and be a leader. You just decided to type. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you guys doing a non-technical discussion on the B-sides. I love coming here. I just came up for the day. I live in Tampa. I flew up just to do it because this is like the greatest things I like to talk at. With other practitioners. So I think I got a couple minutes for questions. Check my time. I do. I got a couple minutes for questions if you got some.
Wait, if the incident cost for your company is so high, I think you said it was like 220.
For an actual incident, just not a malware infection.
For an actual incident, what kind of training would you push towards your techs and the end users to help either get that down or decrease the number of incidents?
Yeah, we're going to micro-virtualization because in testing, it brought it down by 99.99%. I mean, cost is going to be stupid, right, because we're stopping it at the desktop. So we're in the process, we're done testing, we're going to deployment, and so we found that micro-virtualization, even if you're really dumb, you can't mess it up. So that has been a good implementation on our side. Also the automation. We increased our efficiency within our critical incident response center by 25% just by automating some of the malware response functions going out in joint collections. That took us a little while because of the spike, the amount of data we had to collect, and the stuff we had to automate. And we're now going through another tranche of that. Because you know how algorithms work, right? You know, every incident is a little bit different, and you get new information based on, oh crap, we never had that before. Okay, now we're going to add that into our automation in our scripts and things like that. So that's improving. But we're heading for removing malware essentially as best as we can. Yeah. Sir.
So you work for a large organization, and the field that I'm in is in the MSP space with managed services provider. And something that I've known for a very long time that seems to be a hole in that industry itself, which is we're a company that manages a lot of small networks, small law firms, doctor's offices, and such. So we're dealing with
a lot of dirty space,
and people that just they started their own business and don't understand even their own business processes. They just discovered that they can make a little bit of money and scrape by. So, from your experience, my question is I recognize that there's a hole in the security side. Firewalls aren't enough. Anti-malware, antivirus just on the computers and servers aren't enough.
The end user will always be dirty, right?
Well, that's unknowingly, usually. And I've known that we have to do something more for our clients. Like we've actually got to the point we don't do break fix anymore because of
how do you know it's there, right?
Yeah,
it's not cost. I mean, it's cost prohibitive. You know, you can't even tell.
Well, it's worse. We're firefighters, not fire marshals, and so we can't wait till someone calls us when it's broke.
Right.
But what do you think would be a logical step for, say, a company in the MSP space dealing with all this dirt, messiness and dirtiness, to incorporate this into that whole sector, so that we can add more confidence to our ability to tell that client that yes, we are being more proactive on the security. This stuff is not enough anymore, so we're doing this.
So I think there's two things you guys should consider, right? So security as a service, a lot of MSPs don't think security as a service is a revenue generation machine, but it certainly can be, right? And you have to look at it two ways. Here's what we do, and here's what we don't do. So let's start with what we don't do. So as an MSP, you should be able to clearly state that from your environment, if you're not buying our service to do X, Y, and Z, we don't do anything, right? Your environment's your environment. We provide, pay and pipe. We provide whatever you guys provide from a service level. And by the way, you have to do this, right, or it'll cost you more. Meaning, so we do this with some of our clients and some of our divisions where they don't want security, right? We say, sorry, security is our standard. If you don't want it, we have to segment you, we have to do this, we have to do this, and it costs you more. So you will actually pay more if you want to be unsecure. So that's one aspect of it. The second thing is, I sit on the board of a company, and I'm not going to say the name, but basically there's several of these out there. Basically, they're creating security intelligence on the fly for MSPs. So basically, you pull all of your client's data into this section, runs a specific set of analytics, and you basically turn out for X dollars a month. Why is that important? Because it's bringing the price point of the programs like we have, some of the big banks have, to like nothing, a few dollars a device a month. Right? So if you're a doctor's office and you're adding $9 or whatever it is from the MSP on a month, and you're getting security analytics, you know when your machine is dirty, you know when this is happening. And so you're proactively providing the capability of value-added service for a dollar a month, revenue generating. It's quickly alerting your client to their needs to go do something. And if you're an MSP and you do stuff like go fix machines and all that sort of stuff, now you have a new revenue generating capability to get your services back in there. And you're quickly able to show them it's your problem, right? And here's why. So revenue generating, it's a pull, it's a demand pull, and you can set the static over on this side to say, this is what we will do. If you want anything else, it's going to cost you more. So you can be a little bit more concrete, I guess, is a long or short way of saying all that. Right. Any other questions? All easy group. Cool. I got a couple giveaways. I can leave without giveaways, so I've got to make something up, I think. I got a tab, a network tab for you, so you can know what your kids are doing. And I've got a Blue Team handbook. So without me going back through my slides, who can give me one service that I said you have to add to your organization as part of a future security program?
Critical asset protection.
Critical asset protection. There you go. You get a tag.
Good job.
Anybody actually use those at the house? They heat up after a while. You do, right? I do too. All right, Blue Team Handbook, Incident Response Edition. How many people do we pay in Canada? So, okay.
1 out of 3.
Yes. Very good.
I had 3 of them.
There you go. All right. Well, hey, everyone, thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed the B-Sides today. It's one of the best training programs I think anybody can go to. So appreciate you all coming out, and hope to see you all around. If you have any questions, hey, the idiot didn't put my my email information is roland.cloutier@adt.com. If you guys have any comment, I like comments, I like feedback. It's not made to be prescriptive and controversial, is fine. So if you guys have comments, please send it to me. Other than that, have a nice night, and thanks for coming.